You know what else would help you? Getting another job. Yeah, try that.
That's James Charles, in 2026, a multi-millionaire with tens of millions of followers, reading a laid-off airline worker's GoFundMe request out loud, and mocking her for it. This is him now, and the reason that moment hit so hard isn't just because of what he said, it's because of everything that came before it, because 8 years ago, James Charles was arguably the most powerful creator on the entire internet, and the story of how he got from there to here is one of the craziest case studies in the creator economy. In 2018, James Charles was 19 years old, the first ever male CoverGirl ambassador, 16 million subscribers, shutting down shopping malls in Australia because tens of thousands of fans would show up just to see him. A multi-million-dollar beauty empire built entirely on personality, relatability, and audience trust. And in that creator economy, that is the most fragile foundation in the world. To map out the timeline of James Charles, we have to look at May 2019. You cannot talk about the history of YouTube without talking about what the internet eventually dubbed Sister Get On. To understand why this specific scandal exploded the way it did, you have to understand the relationship behind it. Tati Westbrook wasn't just another creator in the beauty space. She was an industry veteran who took a 17-year-old James Charles under her wing when he first moved to Los Angeles.
Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I am joined by a very special guest. I'm here with James Charles.
Hello, sisters.
She promoted his channel when he was small. Her husband helped review his business contracts. She even flew him out to do her makeup for her wedding.
As you are watching this video, and I will be married.
So excited.
And this will be the makeup.
They sold the audience on a mother-son dynamic. This context is crucial because it meant the upcoming conflict wasn't viewed as a business dispute. It was viewed as a deep personal betrayal. It sounds entirely absurd in hindsight, but one of the greatest scandals in internet history started over a bottle of hair vitamins. In April 2019, James Charles attended the Coachella Music Festival, and according to him, he was mobbed by fans in the VIP section and felt unsafe. Sugar Bear Hair, a massive supplement brand sponsoring the festival, offered him a security detail. In exchange, James agreed to post an Instagram story promoting their sleep vitamins. He took the deal and posted the ad. But there was a massive problem. Sugar Bear Hair's primary competition was Halo Beauty, a supplement company owned and founded by Tati Westbrook. Tati was sitting at home, watching her protege and supposed best friend promote her biggest rival to millions of impressionable teenagers. She posted a tearful Instagram story, feeling betrayed, which sparked rumors across the beauty community.
I'm literally sitting here in my studio, like I can't film. And this never happens to me, where I feel like I'm here, I know what I should be doing, I should be working, I should film, and I just can't because I'm stressed out.
But the situation escalated far beyond a simple brand rivalry. On May 10th, 2019, Tati Westbrook uploaded a 43-minute video titled Bye Sister. This wasn't your regular YouTube drama video. It was a complete character assassination on James Charles. Tati sat in her studio and systematically dismantled his public persona. She accused him of being disloyal, highly entitled, and completely obsessed with fame and money. She detailed his bad behavior at her birthday dinner and accused him of letting his ego spiral out of control.
It's just like, no big deal. Like sucking dick and cock. Like, I'm just like, oh my God. Time and place. And you did it at my birthday dinner.
But the nuclear payload of the video had nothing to do with makeup or vitamins. The most damaging accusation was her claim that Charles uses fame, money, and power to pressure and manipulate straight men into sexual behavior. She specifically referenced an incident involving a waiter in Seattle, framing James Charles as a predator who refused to accept the word no.
You were talking in detail about things you wanted to do to the waiter. And when I said, James, he's straight, your response was, doesn't matter, I'm a celebrity. So freaking gross.
It became YouTube's biggest drama explosion ever. It transcended the beauty community and became a mainstream global news story. People who had never watched a makeup tutorial in their lives were suddenly refreshing Twitter to watch the fallout, and the subscriber freefall was drastic. Millions of people tuned into live streaming trackers just to watch James Charles' subscriber count plummet in real time. He lost 1.2 million subscribers in a single day, setting a record for the most subs lost on YouTube in a 24-hour period. Within a matter of days, his channel had bled over 3 million subs, dropping from 16.5 million down to the 13 million range. At the same time, Tati Westbrook gained over 4 million subscribers. But it wasn't just everyday viewers hitting the unsubscribe button. The celebrity network James spent years building abandoned him overnight. Kylie Jenner, Miley Cyrus, Shawn Mendes, Katy Perry, and Demi Lovato all publicly unfollowed him on social media. Brands began quietly distancing themselves. Retailers also covered up his promo displays in stores. The public consensus was that no creator, no matter how big, could survive a cancellation of this magnitude. And And of course, James tried to stop the bleeding. While on a business trip in Australia, he posted a quickly made, unedited apology video simply titled Toddy. It was a complete disaster. He sat on the floor wearing no makeup and a gray sweater, crying into the camera. The video came across as inauthentic, manipulative, and forced. The dislike ratio was astronomical. Instead of putting out the fire, the apology video acted like gasoline. For a week, James Charles went completely silent. Then, on May 18th, 2019, he uploaded a second video titled No More Lies. This video changed the entire trajectory of the scandal. Instead of a tearful, emotional apology, Charles presented a 41-minute defense video. He didn't just ask people to believe him, he brought receipts. He showed time-stamped text messages, timeline breakdowns, and direct context that contradicted many of Westbrook's most damaging claims. He showed the texts with Sugar Bear Hair Team, proving the security detail exchange actually happened exactly how he said it did. And most importantly, he showed the messages with Gage, the waiter from Seattle. The screenshots of their conversation proved that the interaction was entirely mutual and consensual, completely destroying Toddy's narrative of predatory coercion. The public perception immediately shifted again. The internet experienced massive whiplash. Millions of people realized that they had jumped on a hate bandwagon and destroyed a 19-year-old's career without waiting for a single piece of actual proof. The live subscriber trackers reversed direction. Charles slowly began to regain his lost subscribers. He recouped the millions he lost, while Toddy Westbrook's channel began to bleed subscribers as the backlash turned on her. For exactly 2 years, the internet decided James Charles had learned his lesson. What happened in 2021, though, was not a brand dispute, not interpersonal drama, and not something the internet could argue its way out of. Surviving a brand dispute and interpersonal internet drama is one thing. A YouTube audience will eventually forgive you for promoting the wrong brand of hair vitamins. But what happened in 2021 was an entirely different situation. The controversies escalated. This wasn't just creator drama anymore. It became a question of whether his career could legally and ethically continue at all. In early 2021, the tone of the conversation surrounding James Charles shifted. In Feb of that year, a 16-year-old boy came forward on TikTok, alleging that Charles had groomed him, sent him unsolicited explicit photos, and pressured him into sexting. In the weeks that followed, more underage boys came forward with similar accusations, sharing screenshots of direct messages that were highly sexual in nature. This was about potential predatory behavior and the exploitation of a massive power dynamic. At the time, Charles was 21 years old. He was a multimillionaire, a global celebrity, and one of the most powerful figures on the internet. The people he was allegedly messaging were 16-year-old high school students who were also his fans. As the allegations gained serious traction across social media and mainstream news outlets, the public backlash was severe. Charles realized he couldn't ignore it. On April 1st, 2021, he posted a 14-minute video titled Holding Myself Accountable. In this video, he appeared to confirm that the messages were authentic.
First and foremost, I need to say sorry. I owe a massive apology to anybody that I've hurt or anybody that I've made uncomfortable with my actions.
However, his method of taking accountability frustrated a massive portion of the audience. He claimed that he was led to believe the boys were 18 years old at the time of the conversations. He stated,
Within the past couple of weeks, 2 different people, both under the age of 18, have recently come forward saying that they had inappropriate messages with me on social media. One of them being from last year and one of them being from more recent. In both of these cases, I added these people on Snapchat, asked how old they were right away, was told that they were 18, believed them, engaged in a flirty conversation, and then later on found out that they were actually 16. Upon finding out, I was immediately embarrassed and blocked both people.
But the public reaction was highly critical. Many viewers felt it was a calculated attempt to shift the blame onto teenagers for allegedly lying about their age, ignoring the fact that as an adult in a position of extreme power, the responsibility of verifying age falls entirely on him. Furthermore, one of the accusers pointed out that his age was publicly listed on his social media profile the entire time. Despite his attempt to control the narrative, the corporate consequences of James Charles were rapid and devastating. This is where we see the stark difference between the public outrage and structural fallout. In 2019, people were mad at him, but in 2021, the infrastructure that kept him wealthy actively dismantled his empire. The first major domino to fall was Morphe. Since 2018, Morphe Cosmetics had partnered with Charles to create the Morphe x James Charles eyeshadow palette. It was one of the best-selling makeup products of the entire decade, acting as a massive pillar of income for both the brand and the creator. But in April of 2021, Morphe released a public statement ending their relationship. They announced that they would wind down the sales of his product offering. Charles posted a statement on Twitter trying to soften the blow, claiming they mutually agreed to part ways and that he was taking time away to learn, grow, and listen. But the reality was clear. His biggest financial partner had just dropped him. Traditional entertainment infrastructure began cutting ties as well. Charles had successfully crossed over into mainstream hosting with his YouTube Originals reality competition show. This was called Instant Influencer. It was a highly produced, massive budget show that legitimized him outside of the standard vlog format. But following the allegations, the production company announced he was officially fired and replaced as host for the upcoming second season. But the most significant blow came directly from YouTube itself. Also Also in April 2021, YouTube confirmed that they were temporarily removing James Charles from the YouTube Partner program. His channel was completely demonetized. YouTube invoked its creator responsibility policy, which allows a platform to penalize creators if their off-platform behavior causes real-world harm or damages the community. To understand how massive this is, you have to look at the numbers. At the time, Charles had over 25 million subscribers and was pulling in roughly 60 million views a month. Overnight, that massive catalog of videos started generating $0 in ad revenue. When a platform applies this policy, the same policy they used on creators like David Dobrik and Logan Paul, it is essentially the platform telling the creator that they are too radioactive to sell ads against. Major reputation damage had been done, far beyond anything Toddy Westbrook had ever accused him of. His primary source of passive income was frozen by YouTube. His major physical product partnership with Morphe was dissolved. His mainstream hosting gig was done. For almost any creator, a collapse like this is the definitive end. But it wasn't over, and here's exactly why. Because the creator economy is structurally different from every other entertainment industry that has ever existed. In Hollywood, a studio exec can fire you. On YouTube and TikTok, the only people who can fire you are the viewers. And getting 20 million independent viewers to collectively agree to stop watching is functionally impossible. The sheer scale of his audience means that even a fraction of his fan base is enough to sustain a highly lucrative career. The algorithm doesn't care why people are clicking. Hate watching is still watching. Charles took a brief hiatus, stuck through the demonetization period, eventually regained his standing in the partner program a few months later, and simply continued to post as if nothing had ever happened. Every time the internet wrote him off, he found his way back to the feed. And by 2026, he had done this so many times that people didn't even care. Between 2022 and 2026, James Charles stayed pretty quiet. He kept his head down, focused on rebuilding, and stayed out of drama, which makes what he did in May 2026 completely inexplicable. But to understand why it landed the way it did, you have to understand what the internet looked like in the years before it. If you look at the timeline from 2022 to 2025, a strange phenomenon occurred. James Charles didn't vanish from the internet, but his cultural relevance heavily diluted. And this raises a very important question. Did James Charles actually disappear, or did people just stop paying attention? The landscape of the internet completely changed. The golden era of beauty YouTube officially died. For years, the platform was dominated by 45-minute makeup tutorials. Creators sat in front of ring lights, using studio filters, talking about brand trips and million-dollar mansions. But eventually, the audience got exhausted. They were tired of the constant apology videos, the backstabbing, and the flexing. When the pandemic happened, beauty trends shifted heavily. People stopped caring about heavy eyeshadow looks and started focusing on simple skincare. The highly produced, reality TV style of YouTube that James Charles helped pioneer was no longer what audience wanted to watch. And the rise of short-form content fundamentally altered how consumers engaged with media. TikTok overtook traditional YouTube as the dominant cultural force of Gen Z. The ecosystem shifted from a few mega creators to thousands of micro-influencers. In late 2022, creators like Alex Earl exploded onto the scene and completely took over the market share. Alex didn't use a professional studio. She sat in her messy college bedroom, filming on her iPhone, openly showing her acne and talking about her messy breakups while putting on basic makeup. Gen Z prioritized this authentic, get ready with me style of content. They wanted relatability. They wanted creators who felt like real friends, not untouchable celebrities selling them a 30-piece brush set. James Charles, fair or not, represented the corporate era of 2018. But during this shift, Charles didn't give up. He successfully transitioned to TikTok. His numbers on paper were still massive. If you looked at his analytics, he was still getting millions of views by participating in trending dances and collabs with new TikTok stars. And here's where it gets genuinely strange, because this is a man who 2 years earlier had been demonetized by YouTube, dropped by his biggest brand partner, and fired from his hosting gig over allegations involving minors. And in 2023, he was doing TikTok dances, getting millions of views, moving on, as if none of it ever happened, which for the internet, it basically hadn't. But his influence was different. He was no longer dictating the cultural conversation. A view on TikTok doesn't translate to real-world loyalty the way a 30-minute YouTube video does. People were scrolling past him on their For You page, but they weren't emotionally invested in his life anymore. The days of shutting down shopping malls were completely over. He existed in a strange digital limbo. He was too big to fail, possessing a follower count that guaranteed a baseline level of engagement and income, but no longer the center of attention. And this new reality became incredibly clear in August 2023, when he finally launched his own independent makeup brand, Painted. After Morphe dropped him 2 years earlier, he funded the new company himself. He released a line of multi-use paints, claiming he wanted to bring artistry back to a beauty world that has been stuck in the clean girl aesthetic. But the launch told a very specific story. It wasn't a massive event like his Morphe palette in 2018. It did fine, and his hardcore fans bought it, but it didn't break the internet. In an interview promoting the brand, Charles even said it himself, stating, he knew that the peak of his power was behind him. He wasn't the king of the beauty industry anymore. He was just an independent creator trying to keep his business alive. For a few years, it seemed like James Charles had finally settled into a baseline of internet fame. He kept his head down, he focused on his brand, posted his videos, and stayed out of drama. And then, in May of 2026, he forced himself right back to the center of the internet's crosshairs. This brings us to the current news, and the event that proved exactly how volatile influencer culture remains. For many viewers, this wasn't just a misstep. It was years of frustration boiling over. In May of 2026, the internet was focused on the economic fallout of Spirit Airlines filing for bankruptcy. Thousands of employees were facing sudden layoffs and financial insecurity in an already difficult economy.
I heard that we was getting ready to come out of bankruptcy, so I really didn't think that we was gonna have a shutdown. I really didn't think that. It was something kind of unreal, and I really haven't processed it all yet.
One of those employees was Amber Vargas, an operations agent who had been working at Boston Logan Airport for a couple of years. Like many people who lose their jobs unexpectedly, she set up a GoFundMe campaign to help cover her basic living expenses while she looked for new work. In a moment of desperation, or perhaps just taking a shot in the dark, she DM'd the link to James Charles. Instead of helping her, or rather ignoring the messages, which influencers with millions of followers do thousands of times a day, James Charles decided to turn her plea for help into content. On May 8th of 2026, Charles uploaded a video to his massive TikTok audience. In the video, he read Amber's direct messages aloud in a highly mocking, condescending tone.
I just got a DM on here from a girl that said, "Good morning, James. I know you'll probably never see this, but if you could just take 1 minute to read it would really mean a lot to me. I'm really struggling right now because Spirit Airlines just filed for bankruptcy and I have lost my job. Here's the GoFundMe link. Any donations help." I'm sure they do, sweetheart. I'm sure they do. You know what else would help you? Getting another job. Yeah, try that.
But he didn't stop there. He went on to lecture the laid-off worker, claiming that in the time it took her to send him and whoever else that message, she could have applied for 100 other jobs.
Because in the time that it took you to copy and paste the same ass message to myself, who you don't follow, by the way, and probably 100 other influencers and celebrities, you could have applied for 100 other jobs, but you didn't because you're a lazy piece of shit and you're entitled. This bitch, you lost your fucking job? Oh. What are we gonna do? Nothing! I'm gonna do nothing. You know what you need to do? Go find a fucking new one, girl. Put some effort into the workplace.
The backlash was explosive. We are living in an era defined by a massive wealth gap. The economic reality for the average working class person is incredibly stressful. To see a rich multimillionaire influencer, someone who gained their wealth entirely through the support and attention of the working public, sitting in a nice home and calling a recently unemployed airline worker a lazy piece of shit was the ultimate display of disrespect. It perfectly encapsulated the tone-deaf influencer criticism that has been building for years. The video showcased a severe lack of empathy and a fundamental misunderstanding of how the real-world job market functions. The internet erupted. Commentary channels, TikToks, and Twitter tore him apart. People were questioning how he could possibly lack the self-awareness to post something so simply cruel. The backlash reignited older criticisms, reopened debates around his 2019 and 2021 scandals. It begged the question, why does his platform remain so large despite years of controversies and a clear pattern of problematic behavior? Realizing the catastrophic PR disaster he had created, Charles swiftly deleted the original video. Shortly after, he posted a 3-minute follow-up TikTok issuing a public apology. In the apology video, Charles abandoned the defensive posture he used in past controversies.
This video was fucking stupid. It was rude, it was obnoxious, it was privileged, and most importantly, it was completely fucking unnecessary. When I saw that DM, I absolutely had the choice to ignore it and say absolutely nothing at all and move on with my day. But instead, I couldn't even tell you why. Her message just triggered me, and I decided instead to make a video about it. And I bashed her, and it was obnoxious, and I shamed her for asking for help in a situation where she was clearly really struggling, and this could have been her absolute last resort. I have no idea what was going on in her life, and I should have never assumed that she was just copying and pasting this DM as an easy way out. I don't know. I just don't know. So it really doesn't matter what my intentions were behind making the video, because it came across as super fucking privileged and like I was basically shaming anybody that's unemployed for not trying hard enough to get a job. And I feel awful because that wasn't my intention, and it really hurt a lot of people. And I know that it's not that easy. I know that the job market fucking sucks right now.
Charles also reached out to Amber Vargas to apologize and donated $5,000 through a GoFundMe campaign. In his DM, which was later leaked, he wrote, "It was disgraceful and completely unnecessary. And there's no excuse for me yelling at and berating someone for asking for help in a shitty situation that was completely out of your control. I'm so sorry for adding to what was already a distressing time." And in a previous era of the internet, a public apology and a $5,000 donation might have smoothed things over, but Amber Vargas refused to accept his apology. On May 14th, she posted her own TikTok video responding to the situation.
I know another question on here is, do I accept his apology? So I'm just gonna answer it right together. Hell no. I don't accept his apology, especially because he was very publicly with what he said, and then you thought it was okay to message me privately. No.
Instead of Charles getting to play the role of the remorseful creator making amends, the story transformed from a simple layoff struggle into a public humiliation. And this was bad PR. Creators build their empires by asking their audience for time, attention, and money. They ask fans to buy their products, watch their videos, and use their affiliate codes. Yet when a member of the same public asks for help in return, the creator responds with hostility and entitlement. The public fatigue from repeat conversations is palpable. Every time a creator steps out of line, the internet doesn't just judge the current actions, they judge the entire history of the creator's platform. And that brings us to the central fact of James Charles' career. If you look at the full timeline, 2019, 2021, and 2026, a logical person would assume his career should have ended multiple times over. Traditional celebrities face permanent blacklisting for far less. A Hollywood actor who publicly berated a laid-off worker would be dropped by their PR firm that afternoon. Yet James Charles is still here, still pulling millions of views, still generating thousands in revenue. His core fanbase, the teenagers who bought the Morphe palette in 2018, are now in their mid-20s. For a lot of them, cutting ties with them feels like abandoning a piece of their own adolescence. So they stay. And the cancellation cycle has compressed so dramatically that a scandal, which would have dominated the news cycle for a month in 2019, now lasts 2 days on TikTok before moving on. Creators have learned that if they simply wait out the storm, James Charles has survived long enough to know exactly how that works. Because his story isn't just about a beauty guru, it's a story about the unchecked power of the 2018 YouTube era, where teenagers were handed multi-million-dollar empires with zero PR training. It's a story about the cancel culture in 2019, serious legal controversy in 2021, and the current state of class divides and influencer entitlement in 2026. Maybe someday James Charles will quit, or maybe he'll spend the rest of his career trapped in a cycle of controversy and apologies, desperately trying to maintain relevance. But after everything, after the sub losses, the demonetization, the exposed messages, after the viral humiliations, one thing is impossible to ignore. He's still here.